My name is Isabella Rossi, and I am 28 years old. 2 years ago, on what was supposed to be the happiest night of my life, my wedding reception, my future mother-in-law, Victoria Harrington, walked up to me with a crystal glass of what looked like champagne, smiled sweetly, and poured pure acid straight onto my face. I felt my skin melt. The pain was instant, white-hot, like 1,000 needles stabbing and burning at once. I screamed. The ballroom went silent. Guests froze with their phones half raised. My veil caught fire from the chemical reaction, and someone yanked it off me before it could spread. But the damage was done. Victoria stood over me, elegant as ever in her pearl gray mother-of-the-groom gown, and said calmly, "That is what you deserve, you little gold-digging whore." My fiancé, my husband of only 3 hours, Alexander Harrington, the man I had loved for 2 years, the man who had promised me forever, looked down at me writhing on the marble floor and said nothing, not one word. He just turned away. I didn't cry then. I couldn't. The pain was too much. But as the paramedics rushed me out on a stretcher, I managed to pull my phone from the hidden pocket in my wedding dress with shaking, blistered fingers. I dialed a number I had saved weeks earlier and whispered 3 words: "Do it now." Then everything went black. When I woke up in the burn unit 3 days later, wrapped in bandages like a mummy, my first visitor wasn't Alex. It wasn't my mother. It was a detective. And that was only the beginning. Let me take you back to how it all started. Because to understand why Victoria hated me enough to disfigure me in front of 300 guests, you have to know the secret that destroyed 3 families in one night. 3 years ago, I was a 25-year-old junior art curator at a small gallery in Savannah, Georgia. I wasn't rich, but I was happy. I had my own tiny apartment overlooking the river, a cat named Luna, and dreams of one day opening my own gallery. My mother, Elena, raised me alone after my father died when I was 7. She worked as a housekeeper for wealthy families to put me through college. We weren't close to luxury, but we had love. That's when I met Alexander Harrington. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the American Elder Voices, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story. He walked into my gallery one rainy Tuesday, looking for a painting for his new condo. Tall, dark-haired, impeccably dressed with that quiet confidence that comes from old money. He smiled at me and something shifted in the air. We talked for hours. He bought 3 paintings that day, far more than he needed, and asked me to dinner to discuss installation. One dinner turned into weekends in Charleston, late-night phone calls, and within 6 months, he proposed on a yacht under the stars. I said yes. Of course I said yes. Alex came from one of Savannah's oldest families. The Harringtons owned half the historic district, cotton money from generations back. His mother, Victoria, was a society queen, chairwoman of every charity board, always perfectly coiffed, always in control. His father had passed years earlier, leaving her the matriarch. The first time I met Victoria, I was terrified. She invited us to the family estate, a sprawling antebellum mansion with columns and oak trees dripping Spanish moss. I wore my best dress, a simple navy sheath I'd saved for months to buy. Victoria greeted me with air kisses and a smile that never reached her eyes. "Isabella," she said, looking me up and down, "Alexander tells me you work in art." "Yes, ma'am. I'm a curator." "How charming." From that day on, it was subtle warfare. She corrected my table manners, questioned my background, suggested I might be more comfortable in a simpler wedding venue than the country club she had already booked. When I tried to include my mother in planning, Victoria laughed lightly and said, "Darling, leave the details to people who understand these things." Alex always took her side. "She's just protective, Bella. She'll come around." But she didn't. And then, 8 months before the wedding, something happened that changed everything. I came home early from a buying trip in New York. Alex had given me a key to his condo. I let myself in quietly, wanting to surprise him. I heard noises from the bedroom. I pushed the door open, and there they were. Alex and Victoria. Naked. Together. I stood frozen in the doorway as they scrambled apart. Victoria didn't even look ashamed. She pulled the sheet around herself and said coolly, "Isabella, this isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. Alex stammered, "Bella, please, let me explain." I ran. I drove for hours, crying so hard I could barely see the road. When I finally stopped, I was at my mother's tiny house on the outskirts of town. She held me while I sobbed. The next day, Alex showed up with flowers and apologies. He swore it was a mistake, that Victoria had seduced him when he was drunk, that it only happened a few times, that he loved me, only me. I wanted to believe him. I was in love. The wedding was planned, the invitations were out, my mother had spent her savings on my dress, so I forgave him. But I didn't forget, and I started watching. I noticed how Victoria touched Alex's arm a little too long, how she called him "my darling boy" in a way that made my skin crawl, how he flinched when she entered a room but never told her no. Then came the anonymous envelope. It arrived at my apartment 2 months before the wedding. No return address. Inside were photos. Grainy but unmistakable. Alex and Victoria in hotel rooms, in the back of her Mercedes, in the pool house at the estate. And bank statements. Transfers from Victoria's account to Alex's. Gifts, the note said. But they looked like payments. I felt sick. That's when I hired a private investigator. Marcus Reed was ex-military, quiet and thorough. Within weeks, he had everything. Dates, hotel logs, text messages, even audio from a bug he placed in Victoria's car. The affair had been going on for nearly 2 years, since before Alex even met me. Victoria wasn't just sleeping with her own son, she was keeping him, paying his credit cards, buying his suits, funding the lifestyle he showed off to me. And there was more. Marcus discovered that the Harrington fortune was nearly gone. Bad investments, gambling debts, the mansion was triple mortgaged. Victoria was desperate. And then he found the trust. Alex's grandmother had left him a $12 million inheritance in a trust that would only release when he married and produced a child within 5 years. That's why he needed me. Not for love, for money. And Victoria? She planned to stay in control forever. Marcus uncovered emails between them, sickening ones. Victoria, once she gives you a child, we can be together properly. Accidents happen, darling. Alex, I don't want to hurt her. Victoria, you are all ready. Finish it. I read them and vomited. I wanted to cancel the wedding, run, expose them, but Marcus stopped me. If you confront them now, they'll deny it, destroy the evidence. You'll look crazy. Let them think they've won. Wait until the wedding night. Then we hit them where it hurts most, publicly, legally, and permanently. So I waited. I smiled through dress fittings. I let Victoria plan every detail. I even let her choose my wedding perfume. But I made one phone call that changed everything. I called Alexander's aunt, his father's sister, Beatrice. She had been estranged from Victoria for years, hated her. And she had power of attorney over the family trust. She listened to everything, saw the evidence, and she agreed to help. The wedding day arrived. I walked down the aisle in my grandmother's lace gown, smiling like a fool. Alex looked at me with tears in his eyes. Guilt or triumph, I'll never know. Victoria sat in the front row, radiant, clutching her pearls like a queen. The vows were said, the rings exchanged, the priest pronounced us married. And for 12 hours, they thought they had won. The reception was perfect. String quartet, champagne towers, 500 guests whispering about how beautiful we looked. Then came the toasts. Victoria stood, glass in hand, beaming. But before she could speak, the ballroom doors opened. In walked Beatrice Harrington, elegant, white-haired, furious, flanked by 2 lawyers and 4 police officers. The room went silent. Beatrice walked straight to the head table. "Alexander," she said loudly, "this marriage is over." She held up a folder. "These are documents proving fraud, incest, and conspiracy to commit financial theft. The trust will not be released. The marriage will be annulled immediately. And Victoria, you are under arrest." Gasps, screams, phones came out. Victoria went white. Alex stood, shaking. "Aunt Beatrice, this is—" "Sit down," one of the officers said. Victoria tried to run. An officer caught her arm. That's when she saw me. Really saw me. Her face twisted with hate. She grabbed the nearest glass, filled with a chemical solution she had prepared just in case. We later learned she kept it in her clutch for emergencies, and hurled it at my face. The acid hit. I screamed. Chaos erupted. But as I was carried out, I looked back once. Victoria was in handcuffs, mascara running, screaming my name like a curse. Alex was on his knees, sobbing. And Beatrice stood over them both, finally free. The aftermath was brutal. I spent 6 months in the hospital, skin grafts, therapy, learning to live with scars that cover half my face and neck. The marriage was annulled the next day. The trust was frozen. The mansion was seized for debts. Victoria was convicted of aggravated assault, fraud, and attempted murder. Texts proved she planned worse. She got 20 years. Alex got 3 years for conspiracy and fraud. He took a plea. He wrote me letters from prison, apologies, regrets, love. I never replied. Beatrice paid for my surgeries. She became the mother I never had. She visits every Sunday. We drink tea on my balcony and watch the river. I still have Luna. I still have my tiny apartment. And I have something new. Peace. 2 years later, I opened my own gallery. It's small, but it's mine. My scars are part of me now. Some people stare, some look away, but I walk with my head high because I survived. I didn't just survive, I won. Victoria rots in prison alone. Alex will be out soon, broke and broken. And me? I'm free. Sometimes, late at night, I touch the scars on my cheek and remember that pain, and I smile. Because that acid didn't destroy me. It revealed who I really am, stronger than they ever imagined. Did you like my story? Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? Share your experience in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story touched you, please consider a super thanks to support more real-life stories like this. Don't forget to subscribe for more. See you in the next one. With love and strength.